The Supreme Court just greenlit the Trump administration's use of a 226-year-old law to deport undocumented Venezuelan migrants. The 5-4 ruling revives the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, once used during wartime, now aimed at suspected gang members tied to criminal networks. Supporters call it common sense, critics scream xenophobia, and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, she sided with the liberals, drawing fury from the far right. So, is this a win for national security or a dangerous rollback of civil rights? Trump's using a law older than the light bulb, and Buckshot's lighting up with pride. What's your take?
The Supreme Court just brought out the big guns, and I'm here for it. The Alien Enemies Act of 1798? Yeah, it's old. So is the Constitution. Maybe if more laws had a spine like this one, we wouldn't have half the nonsense we're dealing with. If you come here from another country, and you're linked to gangs, drugs, or you're a known threat, then yeah, Uncle Sam's packing your bags for you. You don't get to crash the party and demand a second plate. That's not how borders work. That's not how laws work. That's not how common sense works. And what's the left doing? Screaming about due process like we're rounding up grandmas at Denny's. No. These are vetted targets tied to real threats. Trump's not deporting church choirs. He's dealing with real criminal elements and using the legal tools available. And the court just said, yup, that's fair. Now here comes Amy Coney Barrett jumping ship to play patty cake with the liberals. They're calling her Commie Barrett now, because apparently siding with the Constitution is only okay if it fits their side's agenda. But let's get real. This law ain't about skin color or country of origin. It's about national security. It's about keeping the wolves out while the sheep try to sleep. You've got Venezuela's criminal gangs sneaking through the border, and you think this is the time for courtroom poetry and TikTok justice. No thanks. We need a wall. We need enforcement. And yes, we need old-school rules that actually mean something. This ain't about compassion. It's about control. And the ones flipping out. They're mad because Trump found a way to win again, legally. All he did was crack open the law books, flip to 1798, and say, let's roll. And SCOTUS said, go for it. That's not dictatorship. That's discipline. That's a nation saying we remember who we are. So yeah, let the left have their meltdown. While they protest, we protect. Dipwad. You want a safe country? You need hard lines, not soft hearts. This ain't a soup kitchen. It's a sovereign nation. And I'm tired of watching career politicians wring their hands while our borders get overrun and our laws collect dust. Trump brought the hammer, and the court handed him the nails. That's how you build national policy, with action, not hashtags. And while the woke crowd cries foul, real Americans are breathing a little easier, knowing someone finally hit back. You can't keep pretending the rules don't apply just because you don't like who's enforcing them. This is a republic, not a safe space. We've been handcuffing our border agents with red tape and rainbow flags for too long. Now we've got the law on our side, and we're using it. So if you're scared of 1798, maybe you ought to ask why you're afraid of following the law. Dipwad.
Well, Buckshot just made the Founding Fathers roll in their graves. Misidentify, can you bring us some glitter and grace?
So we're just dusting off ancient laws now? What's next trial by Dunk Tank? The Supreme Court just said, sure, deport people using a law from 1798, and everyone clapped. That's not justice. That's cosplay with consequences. Let me tell you what this really is. Fear in a powdered wig. We're using wartime laws in peacetime, aimed at vulnerable people who don't have lobbyists or TV lawyers. They say it's about gang members. Cute. That's always the excuse. Paint the whole community with the same brush so you can sweep them out quietly. You think these rulings don't affect families, jobs, and lives? Think again. Trump doesn't care about crime, he cares about headlines. He's turning ICE into a PR firm for his 2026 campaign. And the court just handed him the gavel to bang away with. Barrett's defection? Oh, honey, even she couldn't stomach it. And now the right's turning on her like she borrowed their truck and returned it with glitter on the seats. This isn't about safety. It's about spectacle. You want safe borders? Start with safe policies. Ones that treat people like humans, not hashtags. The Alien Enemies Act wasn't written for this century. It wasn't even written with immigration as we know it in mind. It was wartime fear weaponized by men who didn't believe women or minorities should vote. And now we're using it to justify ripping people from their lives without full process. We're building walls with historical trauma. Immigration policy needs compassion. It needs vision, and it needs to be based on facts, not a panic-ridden ghost story from 200 years ago. So no, I don't cheer this ruling. I cry for what it means. Because when you use ancient fear to solve modern issues, you don't create peace, you create precedent. And that's terrifying. If you disagree, you're literally attacking me. And let's be real, how many of these so-called gang members got a hearing, a fair one, with actual due process, not some rushed pipeline from the holding cell to the tarmac? We're calling people enemies based on fear, not facts. And when the law was written, they didn't have planes, Wi-Fi, or the 14th Amendment. But hey, slap an 18th century label on someone, and suddenly it's patriotic to deport them before sunrise. Do you know how dangerous that is? Once you normalize skipping over human rights in the name of national security, where does it end? Do we start rounding up protesters next? People with foreign-sounding names. People who disagree too loudly on Twitter. This is how democracies quietly unravel by using the past to justify panic in the present. And if we're being honest, this ruling isn't a win, it's a warning. A giant red flag waving above the courthouse saying, precedent doesn't matter if it feels good. But feelings fade. Laws endure. And what we just saw was a country pulling out an old playbook and pretending it's a new solution. We can't keep living in legal reruns and calling it progress. If you disagree, you're literally attacking me.
Thank you, Misidentify. That was passionate, poetic, and probably on a protest sign somewhere. History isn't just in textbooks anymore. It's being used to shape policy. Whether you see this ruling as justice served or fear revived, that's one story with two very different sides.